I'm very sympathetic when it comes to people that have like mental health, anxiety, stress, but at the same time, I'm wondering how you differentiate this because what I've seen, I analyze people. I'm no psychiatrist, but I mean, with all of the work I've done throughout the years, I analyze people, actions, reactions, emotions. That's kind of what I do from being in sales and then to interviewing people and being around people. You kind of have to have a knack for that. So I guess over time, what I've observed is mental health has obviously been talked about a lot more. And I'm also the focus on concussions and things like that in sports, right? So we see this progression and it's I guess it's being more accepted to talk about it and to view it, but I do feel like some people revert to calling being stressed or in stressful situations then claiming they have a mental health problem. So I guess my question for you is how do you differentiate if I were to come to you and say, Dr. Dave, I've got some mental health issues, how do you differentiate between just stress and true like mental health conditions?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's actually one of the first ways that we focus on treating folks is any good clinician
Uh-huh.
will first start to ask you questions about your life. And in the first visits,
Mhm.
in the intake and the first therapy visits, we ask you questions about like what's going on, right? Like what's your day like? What are your nights like? What's your work life like? What are the major sources of stress? Where do you feel like things are going well? Where do you feel like things aren't going well? And when did it start, right? When did things seem to be going, like when do you last remember things going well? And when did things start to take a turn downhill from your perspective?
Mhm.
And then you can start to build a map of somebody's life and figuring out like,
Mhm.
well, was there, and there usually is, a stressful event or a series of massively stressful events that occur at a certain time point that start to take us in a direction towards feeling like we have mental illness or mental health challenges. And the difference between somebody who's just stressed and somebody who has actual mental illness is really time and intensity of the symptoms. So
Mhm.
typically the definition is that it is described based on you. If you have like feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, or any other, you can add in whatever other mental health, mental illness symptoms you want for 6 months or more on a continuous basis, then you may be struggling with a mental illness. And if
Got it.
you have mental health symptoms like anxiety, depression, or sadness, um, focus issues, any of these other symptoms, and they last for a very short time and they're only existing when you're really stressed out in your life, then you probably have just too much stress and not a mental illness. And then we need to focus on figure out ways to minimize the stress in your life and not, just think about what medications are we, recommending for you, and what treatment therapy and that kind of thing. But it's, how do we get the stress under control? How do we help improve your resilience, your adaptability, and give you like the emotional bodybuilding skills effectively to learn how to bounce back from stress more quickly? And these skills also benefit people who have mental illness, of course. But once you have a mental illness and you fit into that pattern of somebody who's had 6 months or more of symptoms, it becomes a little bit more difficult and delicate to treat. And so that's why we really try to bring people into treatment earlier before they start developing, 6+ months of struggles.